podcast.
All right. What's up, Fight Bros podcast listeners? We're coming at you today with Fight Bros MMA show number 51. We are continuing our series with Titans of the Cage. We got Titans of the Cage 33 coming up May 20th at the Withville Meeting Center. And I got a great guest for you today. He will be in the co-main event of Titans of the Cage 33 coming up on May 20th. So I got Chris the Reaper Hamlett on today. Thanks for coming on, Chris. How you doing?
Doing all right. Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, you're welcome, man. It's an honor. So I'd like to get started today. First kind of question I ask all of our guests was kind of to get to know you a little bit. How did you get started on the MMA scene? Like, what's your origins of getting started in this series of combat here?
Well, honestly, when I got out of school back when I was 18, I didn't know what else was left for me. You know, I played sports growing up, football, all that stuff. And I didn't know what was really left for me. I just grew up watching fighting on television. And then I was like, you know what? That's something I'd like to figure out how to do and try. And then a random Ruckus in a Cage show showed up in Roanoke. And I finally caught the chance to go out there and fight. And then ever since then, I haven't stopped.
Hey, I like it. Did you just kind of get started with like a gym near where you live, or?
That's the funny thing is starting off, I didn't have a gym. You know, I didn't know exactly what I was going into, anything like that. I didn't have nobody. I had myself. So my first few fights, it was just me, myself. And then I got a hold of a couple groups to train with, but I didn't get a solid gym, I'd say, until about going on 4 years ago almost now.
Okay.
Up around 30. And I've been there for almost the last 4 years, going at it solid.
And where are they located at?
Out of Roanoke, Virginia.
Roanoke. Okay. So you pretty much just got started with work ethic and getting going on a heavy bag and stuff like that before you got with a team.
Yep, basically.
Hey,
I didn't had fun.
Hey, I love it. Where do you currently reside at? Are you in Roanoke as well?
I'm actually in Floyd County, and I probably drive about 40 minutes every day to go to the gym. The way it works is I'll work all day long at my regular job, and as soon as I'm off, I go straight to the gym, and I'm in the gym for a couple hours every night, and then I come home. I normally don't get back home until like 11, somewhere in there. Go to sleep, do it all again.
No, man, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's a question I like to ask everybody, and I like to get our listeners to understand. You know, this amateur MMA, man. Everybody got a family. I seen on Facebook, man. You're a full-time dad. You're working full-time, and like you just said, after a long day, you're getting home at 11 o'clock from training and all that. And kind of, here's a question along with that: what keeps that passion and drive with all that going on for you to keep doing that day to day and getting those late nights after training?
The passion and the drive to do it has always been there. It's something I've always enjoyed to do. I guess the most difficult part about the whole situation would be the fact that, you know, I don't see my wife or my kids really during the week, like whatsoever. By the time I get home, everybody's in bed. They see me for about 30 minutes getting up in the morning. Everybody's getting ready for school or work, and then that's it. See y'all tomorrow, basically. So as far as it makes it difficult, but at the same time, as long as, you know, that my family's working with me, then the drive is always going to be there to keep going.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, man, because we want people to understand the sacrifices that go into this. So thank you for sharing that. So another question I want to ask you, like, what are your goals within MMA? Are you pursuing potentially like a Titans of the Cage title? Are you pursuing to turn professional, or are you just doing this for the love of the game?
Uh, well, to be fairly honest, I've held a Titans of the Cage title before, and I'm I'm looking for to try to make this something that goes further down the road because growing up, my family, I grew up, in a struggling family. We struggled. That's just how it was, and I found out about this, started doing it, and I love it so much. I would like to make a career out of it, turn pro, and give my kids the life that I never got to have.
Yes, sir.
That
Do
and
you,
also being with also the love of the game is mainly like one of my loves for it and the passions for it is the not the respect that you get out of it. It teaches your kids very well discipline. It's at a very young age. And nowadays, especially nowadays, that's something that they need to learn right off the bat. So to me, them being part of the sport and watching the sport, it gives me a lot of my inspiration to keep going because they just find it the most coolest thing that people can get in there, fight each other, and then shake hands afterwards
mhm.
and go about their day.
No, yeah, respect, man. I agree with you. Definitely the younger generation, your kids, like you mentioned, just seeing you training and putting in all you do, it definitely forms them coming up as well. So, next question I got for you. So your upcoming co-main event fight at Titans of the Cage 33, you're fighting at heavyweight, correct?
Light heavyweight.
Light heavyweight. Um, so my next question here is, with fighting at light heavyweight, do you potentially do like a weight cut going into this? Do you fight at like your natural weight? Do you have like a certain weight that you want to come into training camp with, or?
Well, starting back a couple years ago when I got around 30, I was at heavyweight and I was walking around a heavyweight. Like, my weight was pretty up there and I had to make a lot, during that time, during any fight at that point, I was cutting weight. But this fight, um, my metabolism sped up about a year ago and I dropped all the way down to 192 pounds.
Wow.
And so ever since then, my body's just kind of been fluctuating around 195 to 205. So now it's this for this fight. I think I've only had to drop 2 pounds,
Okay.
and that's me dropping it in my sleep. Like I haven't had to focus on losing the weight. I've just had to focus on getting ready the whole time.
So you feel like, coming into this fight, fighting at more of a natural rate, you said you're only having to fluctuate about 2 pounds here. Do you feel a lot better than when you're doing like a big weight cut?
Oh, most definitely. Like the fight before this one, my last fight, I actually had to gain almost. I was 192 and I had to weigh 225 and I had to gain all that weight and I couldn't seem to put on the weight like whatsoever. The last week leading up to my last fight, I had to gain 19 pounds in 5 days. And that was more difficult than anything. So now, and I could feel the difference. Also, like my stamina shot down from gaining all that weight. My physical attributes, I could tell I was more sluggish, just not there. Now, now I'm at a more comfortable weight that I'm able to be more keen, more precise on all my punches. I'm quicker. I'm nowhere near as sluggish as what I was because of all that food I was having to eat just to gain the weight. I've been got cut up, I've been got lean. I'm ready for this fight.
I love it. So you mentioned that you had to put on 19 pounds in 5 days. Were you just eating all kinds of calories that you could get in you to do that?
Yeah, like I had no choice. Like 5 days before the fight, I'm sitting there like, I don't know what is going on, but I cannot put this weight on. I could put on 8 pounds, and in my sleep, I was losing 10. Like like I was just literally whatever I ate was disappearing in no time.
So I guess my next question here is how I seen where I believe, and you can correct me on this if this is wrong. I believe you did 6 fights with Titans of the Cage. Is that correct?
To be fairly honest, I could not give you an exact answer on how many times I fought for him, but it sounds somewhere in there.
Yeah, no, you're good. I looked up a lot of your information on there's a website that kind of lists, you probably know, the Tapology, and it lists
Yeah,
everything.
I just don't pay attention to how many times I fought for who.
Hey, I wouldn't either, man. That ain't part of it. So my next question, like going into that, would be, how did you get kind of involved with Titans of the Cage? More your coaches, or did you reach out, or?
Uh, I want to say me and Titans of the Cage connected a couple years ago. Um, I didn't really know who they were at the time. I just heard a couple people talk about Titans of the Cage, but I didn't really know who they were. And then I want to say they reached out to me and offered me a fight, or I want to say that's how it worked. It's been so long. But I want to say they reached out to me, offered me a fight, and then I took that fight, and then we've been kind of running with it ever since.
So when you get that first fight with Titans of the Cage, do they kind of just match you up with somebody, I guess, same experience and everything? How does that process work?
Yeah, I would say they try to run it on they run it right of the record, but they also try to keep it, as evenly matched as possible.
Yeah,
Like, there's, of course, every show has their fights that, we all know it's not going to be that great due to certain reasons or things like that. You got people like me when I first started, you got people that'll come in here and just do it for fun one time or try it out, and they're not in the greatest shape. You could tell that they just sat at home the whole time, things like that. But, as a fight promoter, that's something you have to work with. But then they also come out, with them packed full nights of fights where it's just nothing but headbangers from the start.
yeah.
Uh, but they try to keep it as evenly matched, I would say, as possible to where you're at in the fight game. Um, I guess I couldn't say as far as the record goes because the guy I'm actually about to fight only has 1 fight under his name. So, and I have 11 under mine.
Yeah.
So I guess there's a difference with that, but at the same time, when it comes to like me and his size, there's not many big boys left around the area that wants to fight.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you mentioned that too, because when I was trying to find some information on your opponent, I couldn't really find a whole lot, but that makes sense. Like you said, he only has 1 fight under his belt so far, so still kind of
Yeah,
get involved with.
yeah, yeah. He's still trying to get involved with everything the way I see it, but I'm still not gonna put no, you know, bad detail on him. I still expect for him to come out and come pushing, coming for that win. And that's just the way it always works. We always come out and try to get that win. One of us has got to lose.
Hey, that's right. So speaking, so like we said earlier, let's get right into this. So Titans of the Cage 33, you're the co-main event versus Brandon Webb. Um, can you tell us a little bit about how you've been preparing for this fight?
Well, just because of my last fight, come after gaining all that weight, came out in the 4th round, wasn't feeling too hot. I knew I wasn't feeling too hot. I could tell that all that weight hit me. So now that this time we've kept my weight to exactly where it's been from the start. It's been low. Like I said, I've been fluctuating those few pounds, but it's nothing I've stressed. So it's just been nothing but blah. I'm so sorry.
You're
It's
good.
but been hitting the gym hard. It's been a lot of family time taken away for this fight camp because after my last loss, I wasn't coming into this fight to get another one. So it's been a lot of long nights at the gym, then coming home. There's been a lot of nights on the weekends that we're in there in the gym, middle of the day, getting it in, working on my boxing, working on all my combinations, my cage work, my ground game. I mean, we've been literally pushing every aspect of the game that we possibly could to make sure that this time we end this fight.
Hey, I love it, man. So speaking of on the same subject here, do you have any predictions for this fight coming up?
Yeah, the only prediction I have is I'm underestimated and I'm coming for what's mine. I'm going to win that belt.
Yeah, I like it.
And that got me from getting it.
I like it, man. Respect. Um, so kind of like the last little bit of the podcast here, I like to ask like some fun questions, just to get to know you a little bit better. Um, so kind of just first question I got for you. Are you a big fan of like combat sports? Do you like watching it, or are you one of those folks that just like, training?
I watch it. Especially, I've watched it for a while, but now that I am a part of it, I've caught myself watching it a lot more than what I used to. Like, caught myself sitting at the TV going, "What is wrong with you?" But then I'm sitting there like, "Wait a minute, I sound like one of them guys that probably watches me going, oh, I could beat him when really you couldn't."
That's right. Yeah, yeah. A lot of people sitting at home, they're quick to judge, but like you said, they never
Yeah,
got in there and got punched.
yeah. Once you get punched, it enlightens your whole vision on the whole thing.
Yes, sir. Um,
Like this, watching it on TV, it's a little bit different actually doing it.
that's right. That's right. Um, do you have like a favorite MMA fighter? I mean, I'm not going to particularly say like UFC, any brand promotion, favorite fighter at all.
Well, the main person uh that really caught my eye, he's got the cocky attitude and he's in the UFC. We all know him. Conor McGregor, the one I've kept the eye on.
I
Like
kind of felt
always,
when you said cocky attitude, I kind of felt that was coming.
gotta love the cocky attitude, man. Especially when you're up there, those cocky attitudes is what sells the fights.
Hey, yeah, that's right. I mean, that's a lot of those guys that provide that entertainment as well before and after the fights. Us as fans like that.
Uh-huh. That's what gets the fights all rumbled up, and then that's what gets people ready to watch that thing.
Yep. Um. So another kind of fun one for you here. Do you have like a certain routine or maybe music playlist, artist, certain song that you listen to before the fight to get in that right headspace that you need to be to perform?
Yeah, normally during right before my fights, I don't really listen to music with lyrics. It's mainly a lot of instrumental beats going through my brain. Just got my headbuds in, and then we'll be sitting in the locker room hitting the pads and all, and I'm just sitting there feeding into the music because the music hypes me up, gets me going, and then once I get out there and I hear that cage door lock, it's like everything goes completely quiet to me. Like I don't hear the fans. I don't hear anybody. It's like I'm zoned into a enclosed circle and I can't hear absolutely nothing else. But right before the fight, I'm normally hitting the pads or I'm by myself in the corner listening to instrumental beats the entire time.
Now, you kind of listen to more upbeat stuff or more stuff to kind of get you calm?
It varies. I got it all mixed into one.
I like
That
it.
my adrenaline pumping too high before the fight, and then that way it doesn't get too low. I'm kind of trying to stay somewhere in the middle.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Um, Kind of last question for you here. This is a question I wanted to ask you. So let's say, somebody, let's say a kid in general, just somebody first timer is in the stands at Titans of the Cage 33. They've never seen you fight before. What is the impression you want to leave them with on May 20th of you?
Hmm. For somebody that's never watched me fight before,
Yes, sir.
man don't give up. He keeps pushing. He don't stop. The impression I give everybody, you can hit me and I'll keep pushing forward. So I guess the impression I want to give, as long as you got heart and the willpower to do something, you can continue to do it.
Yeah, spoken very well, man. I like that answer. Um, do you have any shout outs or anything? Shout outs to your team or anybody you want to shout out here with this last little bit? Stage is yours.
Let me shout out to Titans of the Cage for bringing me onto the show, giving me the opportunity for the fight and the fight for this title. Let me shout out my wife and my kids for dealing with me, dealing with all the sleepless nights that I have, and a lot of the not seeing me and spending time with dad. And then a shout out to my coach, Brian Maxwell, for putting in all the work down here with me at Round 30 in Roanoke, Virginia. Make sure that everybody comes out and does all the supporting that they can for the show. We're going to be there. We're going to be there to put on a good show and give y'all a night's worth of fights. So make sure y'all don't miss it.
Hey, I like that, man. Hey, you heard it here first. Viewers, if you're listening, Titans of the Cage 33. If you're looking for tickets, you can visit titansofthecage.com. May 20th at the Withville Meeting Center. If you're looking for tickets, come watch Chris in the co-main event. Chris, thank you so much for coming on today and talking with us. And I wish you best of luck in your upcoming fight, man.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me again, man.
Hey, you're welcome, man. Hey, I'll end this recording and then I'll finish out with you.
All right.
Thanks for listening to the Fight Bros podcast. If you like what you heard today, like us on Facebook and like and subscribe to us on YouTube.